Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Vanacha Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Tira Jamuna Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivitakacharya Astatarasatasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premanandi. Are you prepared to give class this morning? Because you weren't here, so didn't know what to do. You're ready. So you're ready. Did you prepare for class this morning? That wasn't, you answered a different question. Did you prepare for class this morning? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading text 16. Floating stones. Gather no moss. No, that's not. Bhadvo dadhau Raghupatir vividhadi drikutai. Bhadvo dadhau Raghupatir vividhadri kutai. Setum kapindra karakampita bhoro hangai. Setum kapindra karakampita bhoro hangai. Sogriva nila hanumat Pramukhayar anikayar. Sogriva nila hanumat Pramukhayar anikayar. Lankam vibhishana Rishavishad agdham. Lankam vibhishana drisha vishad agra dagdham. Bhavod dadhau Raghupatir vividhadri kutai. Setum kapindra karakampita bhoro hangai. Sogriva nila hanumat pramukhayar anikayar. Lankam vibhishana drisha vishad agra dagdham. Ladies? Bhadva, after constructing. Udadhau, in the water of the ocean. Raghupati, Lord Ramachandra. Vividha, varieties of. Adrikutai, with peaks of great mountains. Setum, a bridge. Kapi Indra, of powerful monkeys. Kara Kampita, moved by the great hands. Bhuruha Angai, with trees and plants. Sugriva, Nila, Hanumat, Hanuman. Pramukhai, led by. Anikai, with such soldiers. Lankam, Lanka, the kingdom of Ravana. Vibhishana Drisha, by the direction of Vibhishana, the brother of Ravana. Avishat, entered. Agra Dagdham, was previously burnt by the monkey soldier Hanuman. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, after constructing a bridge over the ocean by throwing into the water the peaks of mountains, whose trees and other vegetation had been shaken by the hands of great monkeys, Lord Ramachandra went to Lanka to release Sita Devi from the clutches of Ravana, with the direction and help of Vibhishana, Ravana's brother, the Lord, along with the monkey soldiers headed by Sugriva, Nila, and Hanuman, entered Ravana's kingdom, Lanka, which had previously been burnt by Hanuman. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Great mountain peaks covered with trees and plants were thrown into the sea by the monkey soldiers and began to float by the supreme will of the Lord. By the supreme will of the Lord, many great planets float weightlessly in space like swabs of cotton. If this is possible, why should great mountain peaks not be able to float on water? This is the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can do anything and everything he likes because he is not under the control of the material nature. Indeed, material nature is controlled by him. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Only under his direction does Prakriti or material nature work. Similar information is given in the Brahma Samhita 552. Yasya Gyaya Brahmati Samrita Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Describing how material nature works, the Brahma Samhita says that the sun moves as desired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, for Lord Ramachandra to construct a bridge over the Indian Ocean with the help of monkey soldiers who threw great mountain peaks into the water, it's not at all wonderful, semicolon. It is wonderful only in the sense that it has kept the name and fame of Lord Ramachandra eternally celebrated. End of purport. Ramayana is thrilling. Reading, hearing, remembering, speaking, this wonderful narration of Ramayana, it's thrilling. I'm really looking forward to going to Ayodhya and just speaking and hearing and remembering and praying and becoming enlivened and spiritually benefited during Kartik time. The emphasis that Prabhupada is placing in the purport, we'll start there, is the omnipotence of the personality of Godhead. One of his favorite sightings of the omnipotence of the personality of Godhead is here, floating planets in space in such a way that they're weightless. Now, ask the material scientist, how do planets float in space? And they'll give an answer. And there's multiple problems with their answer. One of them is the very nature of things that are born of speculation. Today they say this, and tomorrow they say that. And the next day they say something else. Or the span of time may be longer than a day, but it's just the nature of speculative knowledge. It's inconclusive, putting it mildly. There's another, I don't know how it stands today, but some years ago, the explanation that scientists offer of why planets float in space is the gravitational force of planets. And due to the gravitational force of planets, planets float in space. There's a small problem with that notion. There's about 40 to 45% of the mass of the universe that can't be found. So they're working on it. They're having efforts to find that 40 to 45% of missing mass that allows planets to float in space, etc., etc., etc. So then somebody else will come along with another notion, another notion, another notion, and it's quite inconclusive. And the Vedic information is different, and the Vedic information is he from whom everything comes has innumerable and inconceivable potency. This is Bhagavat Sandarbha Jiva Goswami. In this way we can understand God, or God in one sense of definition is that from, or he from which, or from whom everything comes. He from whom everything comes. Definition. And he from whom everything comes possesses innumerable and inconceivable potencies. And those potencies are withheld, or those potencies are extended, and those potencies are withdrawn according to his will. It's effortless. He doesn't have to lift the pinky. He didn't have to do any work, as he says in Bhagavad Gita. So many things are created by me, but yet I'm the non-doer. He's the non-doer in the sense that they're being done by his potencies. They're being done by his potencies. And his potencies act through his direction. Not only they start, but they're sustained. Two thoughts just in this regard. I remember reading in Brahma Samhita about Durga, and the verse from Brahma Samhita about Durga is Shristi Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayevya Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. So it attributes Shrishti, Sthiti, and Pralaya, creation, maintenance, and destruction, to her. Oh, wait a minute. Brahma's the creator, and Vishnu's the maintainer, and Shiva's the destroyer. So this seems contradictory, or which model is the correct model? And then another, well, wait a minute. Parvati is the consort of Lord Shiva, so if she's doing stuff, it's under the direction of Lord Shiva. So these seemingly contradictory things, models or ways of looking at things, are not at all contradictory if one understands the absolute truth, that from which everything comes, without detailing how the connection between the personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his expansion, Mahavishnu, a portion of a plenary portion of Krishna, and from Mahavishnu and his internal potency, Rama Devi, manifests the reflection or the external energy, Pradhan or Durga, and it's the glance of Mahavishnu, otherwise known as Shambhu, who impregnates Durga, and thus creation begins. So, in simple language, remote control. I remember visiting in Palatine. There was one boy, there was a group of devotees that, well, some still do, have apartments in one group of subdivision of houses. And one boy was watching a little toy, some little vehicle with big wheels, just, going up and down and up and down and up and down. The other boy was watching, and over there was somebody with one of those remote control things, kind of like a drone. You're over here and the drone goes over there, and you can control remotely. It takes an operator of the remote control to move the drone or move the little toy. So the little boy was bewildered, and the father of the one that was with the control panel was laughing and holding the hand of the little boy, and then the car would go away, and so not knowing that there's a remote control device, it can be bewildering. Knowing that there's, in principle at least, a remote, you may not know the technology of how the remote control device works, but it works. It makes the car go or makes the drone go, and similarly, Krishna's the remote controller. But he doesn't even need a control panel. He doesn't need the technology of, what to speak of if the technology breaks down. Then what do? You have to call an IT person to fix it or something. But where does the intelligence of the IT person come from? I forget, there's a group of scholars, most likely primarily Christian scholars, that have developed a website, and on the website are various arguments that are pro-Christian from the scientist perspective. And one of them is about intelligent design. And one of their arguments in the whole is a very interesting video. Aside from expressing what they're missing, one of the things that they're hitting is they quote, what's his name, the Microsoft fellow? Bill Gates. Bill Gates says, one of our authorities, Bill Gates says that the amount of information that's in the RNA and DNA is millions and millions and millions of times more intricate and compact than any computer. And computers weren't designed by chance. Computers took intelligent people to design, to store data on a hard drive and whatever the other ways that data is stored. Therefore, it's unrealistic to conclude that, the narrator is saying that the RNA, DNA strands came about by chance. There's such information stored there. So it's by inference. There's a scientific term. Geez, I'm rusty with all of this. You infer something. Now we know that inference is faulty. Direct sense perception, logic and reason, or inferring something. But it's by inference is the most plausible explanation. It's not proof. You can't prove the soul or prove God or prove transcendence by the material faculties. But the most logical, most plausible, there's some term they use, explanation. There isn't something that's a better explanation. So the most plausible explanation is there's, within this, there's an intelligence behind it. And they give so many examples. It must be. It must be. It's compelling. It's not proof, but it's logic by inference. So, if planets can float in space and be weightless, and there isn't another logical explanation, it would certainly make sense to a logical person. If you have a theory, but 45% of the basis of the theory is missing, you have to question the validity of that theory. We're working on it. So, from Aparusheya Shabda, from sound vibration that comes from a perfect person, an infallible person. Aparusheya means infallible, beyond the fallibilities of Purushas, us. Through that Aparusheya Shabda, there's a source of everything. And that source of everything, indicated in Bhagavad Gita, controls everything that he's the source of. Maya Jakshena Prakriti. And how does he do? Remote control. And the remote control without, the technology is so simple. He just desires it. Now there is no such technology, even, self-driving cars. There's no technology that you just, the Pushpaka Vimana was a craft that moved according to the will of the person who sat in it. Although previously it wasn't Ravana's, he hijacked it, and didn't go and sell it. He used it. And just by his desire, it would go zoom, 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 all over the place. And it was big. And it had many features that were very attractive. But even that, there has to be a person willing. So in the case of Prakriti, there's a person willing. And how the technology works is his various unlimited and inconceivable potencies move according to his will. Because they're persons, and they want to serve the Supreme Person, who they are the potency of. That's how he does it. Now, is that true? We discussed yesterday. I've been practicing Krishna consciousness, this young man, for 18 years, and I still have my doubts. Is it true? That makes progress in Krishna consciousness without faith in the fundamental truth that whatever the absolute truth is, whatever the source of everything is, must have unlimited and inconceivable potencies. It's logic to say it must, but to say it conversely, well, no, you cannot. Then that means the absolute truth is missing something. It's incomplete. It's a very practical way of addressing people who have doubts. I don't know, I've had a little experience here and there meeting people that have doubts. And you just go, like bottom lines, say a spiritually minded person, or in specific, I'm thinking of, a Christian. God can't look like that. Or this discussion with this girl at WashU that, Goloka is a planet of cows. No, it can't be. Why not? Well, it can't be. That's why not. Well, you can't have cows. Why you can't have cows? They're not the same as, the moo cows that when you grew up. That's Surabhi cows. And these are reflections of those spiritual cows. Why not? Well, you can't. So, do you accept that God is almighty? Yes. So, in his almightiness, is there something that he cannot do? No, he's almighty. That's the meaning. Then he can do, right? No, he can't do. So you with that under your feet, the grounding of the position of Ramachandra, as Prabhupada is concluding the purport, it's not really wonderful. It's wonderful in the sense that we can't do that, so it's wonderful. But from him, it's not wonderful, it's just part of what he does. And he's wonderful. And the glory and fame of Ramchandra is spread for those who are faithful and for those that are not. Mythology and, making offensive statements or holding offensive views towards the personality of Godhead. And then naturally that leads to other types of offenses, offending the name, offending the devotees, offending the scripture. One's life becomes sullied and problematic. And then we have to bring in ISKCON so he can help counsel them how to address their problems that arise from the contamination, the sulliedness of their lives. And because they're sullied, they can't just, let me do a U-turn and take shelter of Krishna faithfully. It takes a number of steps to get there, and part of it is helping them get their obstacles addressed and so forth. But the bottom line, something that was discussed yesterday, and the bottom line is all of this won't work without a spiritual core. Or say it positively, if one has a spiritual core, then anything becomes possible. Any one of these, just like in our list yesterday, addictions. I don't know so much about it, I'm sure ISKCON does, but at least I've been told all of these, 10-step, 12-step, this addiction, that addiction, right at the top of the list is faith in God. And if you don't have faith in God, you're going to stay addicted. Or if you want to be it's a big one, if you want to overcome a problem, faith in God has to be there. So, Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhaktivedanta purports of Srimad Bhagavatam are helping us to become inspired to go to the side of faith. That was the topic that I was asked to speak about yesterday. Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, Krishna says, what I'm going to tell you now is the most confidential knowledge, knowing which there's nothing further to be known. And then, but you won't understand it if you're not faithful. You won't have that grounding under your feet. It's constantly shifting ground. It's very tenuous and fearful, full of fear. You don't know what's next. You can be in ignorance and not know what's next and feel, quite okay. And then something happens that you don't like, and then it's not quite okay anymore. Anyway, material existence is not a pleasantry. So the spiritual solution to all problems is taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as we are striving to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with faith, we can use secondary supports that are helpful on that path. Supposing you're walking on a path and you step on a thorn. Well, you could just keep walking because you can just endure the pain of the thorn, or you can stop and pull the thorn out and keep walking. So there are things that we should do, can do, that are going to help us on the path to Krishna. And while doing that, our core spiritual practice, strengthening our faith and shelter taking in the Personality of Godhead, that's good advice. It's imperative. We want to reach the goal. I'm going to end so that we have time to have some questions and have our breakfast and be at class on time, maybe even 5 minutes early. 9:25 is 5 minutes early. Yes, over here? We have a microphone? Oh, that's right.
Maharaj, you were talking about faith, and you were talking about the convictions, right? Like one of the aspects of how to build faith, like based on conviction. So, and then towards the end, you were talking about, that spiritual corner or taking shelter of the Lord. So I was just wondering if there's something you could elaborate on how to move, because often we have faith of conviction in the beginning, or have faith of conviction or intellectual faith in the beginning, or we may come to Krishna consciousness because of that intellectual faith or logical faith, but then it seems like it has to come down into our heart, and that faith has to become more from my heart and kind of feel like I can actually take shelter of the Lord. So I was wondering if you could elaborate what is that journey of, that faith growing from sort of a conviction to a heartfelt.
Three things. This is the topic I was asked to speak about yesterday, so you can hear the recording because it took about 45 minutes. Second is, it's really helpful to move from the head to the heart, to ask the question that ISKCON was asking us, and seems to be repeatedly asking us, who are we? Because we have misconceptions, and we think, who we are other than who we are. And so asking that question helps go to the heart. And a third is, if I forget, you remind me that this topic of moving from the head to the heart is a topic that we discussed during the Festival of the Holy Name. And there's a document that I'll send you that explains it. And one of the most significant parts of that document, which I'll send you because you'll remind me, is Rupa Goswami's definition of bhakti and Jiva Goswami's commentary on his definition of bhakti, Anyabhilasha Shunyam, that verse. So Jiva Goswami's commentary is, there are three important parts that are secondary, one that's primary. Two, that at the beginning part, letting go of mental speculation, letting go of sense gratification, which can be in the head instead of the heart. And the third is then following the great souls, which can be from the head and not from the heart. So, and then that's unstable, because the head sometimes this way and sometimes that way, and it's covered by contaminations, sullied. So therefore, Jiva Goswami says the primary, or Swarup Lakshana, the primary characteristic of bhakti is anukulyena, which is from the heart, I accept. So we can accept from the head, but we want to move to the heart. And the active principle, the cleansing agent of bhakti, stronger than dirt, is for Krishna. Anukulyena. Anukul, we know this word from the 6 symptoms of surrender, Padma Purana. Acceptance. Anukul. So, acceptance that Krishna is my goal, or pleasing Krishna is my goal. Now, we're nirvishesha shunyavadi, paschatya satarine. The Western countries are filled with impersonalism, Buddhism. India has a little bit too. And our nature is, although we want to take shelter of Krishna, there's other stuff going on besides we want to take shelter of Krishna. And that's the head. So the active principle is from the heart. That is, what's really important to me? Who am I? This who am I question. What's the goal of my life? Or something that helped me become a devotee is, what are my convictions? One A draft notice. I got to send in a conscientious objector. What's your convictions in God? I don't know. I mean, I can say something, but what's my and then it's a constant refinement. From the heart, it's a constant refinement, just like in any relationship, a constant refinement and a recommitment. It's not a one-time, once upon a time, I made a friendship. It's a constant recalibration, recommitment, reinvestment in the relationship. That's from the heart. That's the definition of bhakti. And without it, it's from the head, or it's mixed. So just like ask yourself the question, who am I? Ask yourself the question, why? Why am I doing this? It's not like a doubting question, it's a recalibration question. I was told this, I don't know anything about it. I was told that one pilot said that when you're flying, every minute there's X number, some large number of adjustments. Of course, they do it by electronics and digital. But the refinement of staying on course to reach your destination, recalibration. So, recalibration from the heart. What's important to me? Who am I? What's the goal of, really? Are you sure? You sure it's not something else? It's not in a doubting way, in a purifying recalibration way. That's from the heart. Then there's a relationship that it's, yes, it's for Krishna. Or, yes, it's for, well, there's for Krishna in there and there's other stuff in there. Then how do you address that? From the heart. Do I really want this relationship with Krishna? Or do I want a bunch of other things? And you know, that's there in the mix. It's a refining. That's from the heart. You want to say something further? Just one thing.
Thank you. Imagine when we are asking our questions, what if we find after 18 years or whatever, 5 years, whatever, that actually there are other things in my heart that seemingly are more important than Krishna. Should we actually act upon that, or should we try to convince ourselves to go towards Krishna?
Well, you know, you're asking a fundamental question. I think you know the answer. The answer is that you already know. You commit to Krishna. Without commitment, nothing happens. You commit to Krishna. And the commitment is less than what is required and what is ideal. But within the capacity that I have, that's the commitment I'm making. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur teaches, it should be realistic with our position, and it should be with the hankering, the aspiration, the sankalpa, the desire, the intention. I wish it to become full. You know, some people don't wish it to become full. But if you or I or any one of us wish it to become full, then recognizing and as hankering, aspiring, and doing those things needful, just exactly as we're hearing about someone that's in a conflict situation. What's the steps forward to go towards where you want to be? What's the goal and the support to go to? So for our path to Krishna, what are the doable steps to get closer to where I want to be? And just don't lament, and just go towards that where you want to be, because that's where you want to be, and Krishna will help you, knowing with all faith that the resource is there, Krishna's help, and Krishna's help in the form of various resources, but Krishna is behind those various resources. It's Krishna's help. I consider, I consider the effort that ISKCON is making, the time spent with us here, and the other places he's going to be visiting in the U.S. and then South America and so on. He's just serving as an instrument of Krishna for something that some of us want, and we don't want it 100%. So we'll get whatever the percent is. But a step in the direction. Krishna's instrument. It's Krishna behind the effort, and because there's some hankering on our side, let's go further. Nice to be Krishna's instrument. Nice to receive Krishna's instrument. Nice to be grateful to Krishna for the kindness that he's giving to us, and that'll help the gift that Krishna wants to give go in better, deeper, more fully. And then the instrument is thinking, gee, this is a big responsibility. I need to become a better instrument. I'm sure he's processing like that. So, something else? Because we want to end and reach our class on time. Okay, end of class. Srila Prabhupada. Oh, something? You have something. Okay.
Is there time?
You have a mystical hand that raises without seeing.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, regarding the faith, Maharaj, I had
Regarding faith.
faith. How much of faith is percentage is dependent on us, and how much dependent on the Lord? Like if we see the sadhu sangha, if we see all those stages, like and like as it progresses to bhav and prem, like we determine that stages through faith, through the faith that we have. But when we see the higher the level it goes, like it is more like awarded, right? Like Krishna awards prem. So how much of faith is like in the sense I got.
I understand your question. Does it come from us? Does it come from God, or combination?
Yes.
That's your question.
Yes.
It's a combination. We're helpless. We're not hopeless, but we're helpless. We're dependent entities. And dependent entities require mercy. And just like the sun shines everywhere, you can hide under a rock and you won't get any sunshine. But if you step out of under the rock, then you get the sunshine. So faith is already there. Krishna teaches it, Bhagavad Gita. It's already there. Intrinsic to every soul, it's already there. Faith in Him is already there. Love of God is already there. Mahaprabhu teaches. Krishna prema is already there, what to speak of faith. Now, what do we want? And then, according to what we want, there's reciprocation. So it's a combination. Collaborative effort, right? See the problem?
Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna devotees. Mother Hemangi asked me to just invite everyone for the vegetable cut up for Sunday feast. Since there's no breakfast, devotees want to help down.